All Things Bright and Beautiful by Cecil Francis Alexander. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, He made their glowing colors, He made their tiny wings. The rich man in his castle, the poor man at his gate, God made them high and lowly and ordered their estate. The purple-headed mountain, the river running by, the sunset and the morning that brightens up the sky. The cold wind in the winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruits in the garden, He made them every one. The tall trees in the greenwood, the meadows where we play, the rushes by the water we gather every day. He gave us eyes to see them and lips that we might tell how great is God Almighty, who hath made all things well. Lesson 52. We're going to start by reviewing our vowels. Here's our first one. This is the cursive A. A says A as in aspen. A says A, A, A. E says E as in egg. E says E, E, E. I says I as in insect. I says I, I, I. O says ah as in oxalis. O says ah, ah, ah. U says as in underwing. U says Now we're going to review some of our consonants. And we're going to start with this one because remember, we don't call this one a fox. We call it a kit because it's a baby fox. K says k as in kit. K says k, k, k. P says p as in pine cone. P says p, p, p. G says g as in grizzly. G says g, g, g. C says k as in cricket. C says k, k, k. J says j as in jackrabbit. J says j, j, j. H says h as in hedgehog. H says h, h, h. T says t as in tree stump. T says t, t, t. Last one. R says as in raccoon. R says Okay. Oh, I was going to tell you, do you remember the two letters that often make the same sounds? It's C and K, cricket and kit. And when they go together, you only say the sound one time. Also, do you remember our very last letter that we learned? V for violets. V says V as in violets. V says V, V, V. Now we're going to read our V blends. We're going to read them slowly, and then we're going to start all over and read them quickly. V, a, va, va. V, e, ve, ve. V, I, ve, ve. V, a, va, va. V-a, va, va. Okay, now we're going to read them really quickly. See if you can do it. Va, ve, vi, va, va. Do you want to try that one more time and see if you can read them quickly? Va, ve, vi, va, and va. Okay, now it's time for numbers. Welcome to Numbers Lesson 53. We'll begin by counting from 1 to 59. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Remember that all the daddies in the families are the ones that have the 0. The daddy of the teen family is the number 10. The daddy of the 20 family, all these numbers, is 20. Here's the daddy of the 30, 40, and 50 families. Let's count the 30 family again. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Remember, we made the 30 family last time. Remember when I said if you want the number 33, you have to have a 3 in the tens family and a 3 in the ones family. If you want the number 31, you have to have a 3 in the tens family and a 1 in the ones family. Okay, today we're going to make some of the 40 family numbers. What is the daddy of the 40 family? Remember, I don't have a 0, so we'll make it like this. That is the number 40. That's the daddy of the 40 family. It has a 4 in the tens place and a 0 in the ones place. How do we make the number 46? Which one is it? Does the 6 point up or does the 6 point down? The 6 points up. So we have a 4 in the tens place and a 6 in the ones place. What about the number 42? 4 in the tens place, 2 in the ones place. We'll do one more. What about the number 48? 4 in the tens place, 8 in the ones place. Okay, we're going to do one more thing today. Remember, we've looked at pennies a lot, but we're going to look at another coin. This coin is called a nickel. It is larger than a penny. Can you see it's bigger than the penny? It's larger than a penny, but it is not as large as some of the other coins we'll learn later. Its color is silver. And on the front, there's a picture of a guy, and his name is Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was a president of the United States a long time ago. And guess what? I've been to his house. You can still visit his house. It's pretty cool. But that guy's name is Thomas Jefferson. On the back is actually a picture of his house. This is where I went. His house's name is Monticello. If you look really close, it actually says Monticello right under the house. Pretty fancy house, don't you think? Now, the penny is only worth 1 cent, but the nickel, it's worth 5 cents. How much is a nickel worth? Say 5 cents. Okay, we'll practice counting some of those later. Before we finish today, let's count the 40 family. Here's the daddy of the 40 family. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. That's the 40 family. 40 is the daddy of the 40 family. It's time for numbers review for lesson 52. Today in numbers review, we're going to read some more sentences. I'm going to try to get close so you can see it without a glare. Start with the first sentence. Remember, it starts with a capital letter. I had to squish my last word in, but there is an end mark or a period at the end of our sentence. So let's read together. Read the blend first and then the whole word. Bob. Bob. This says Bob. Fed. Fed. Bob fed. Remember, this says the. Bob fed the. Now what's that last word say? Cat. Cat. So our sentence says, Bob fed the cat. Let's read the second one. Mom. Sat. Mom sat on. Mom sat on, and then when this is by itself, we'll say Mom sat on a log. Mom sat on a log. Last one. Now this is somebody's name. Deb. Okay, what are we going to read about Deb? Deb had. Deb had a What did Deb have? Deb had a hen. 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 Deb had a hen. A hen is a girl chicken. So Bob fed the cat. Mom sat on a log. Deb had a hen. Pretty soon, you're going to be able to start reading books. It won't be that long. Okay, now we're done with the video for phonics review. The next thing you're going to do is a paper. The Tale of Tom Kitten. Once upon a time, there were 3 little kittens, and their names were Mittens, Tom Kitten, and Moppet. They had dear little fur coats of their own, and they tumbled about the doorstep and played in the dust. But one day their mother, Mrs. Tabitha Twitchit, expected friends to tea. So she fetched the kittens indoors to wash and dress them before the fine company arrived. First, she scrubbed their faces. This one is Moppet. Then she brushed their fur. This one is Mittens. Then she combed their tails and whiskers. This is Tom Kitten. Tom was very naughty, and he scratched. Mrs. Tabitha dressed Moppet and Mittens in clean pinafores and tuckers, and then she took all sorts of elegant, uncomfortable clothes out of a chest of drawers in order to dress up her son, Thomas. Tom Kitten was very fat, and he had grown. Several buttons burst off. His mother sewed them on again. When the 3 kittens were ready, Mrs. Tabitha unwisely turned them out into the garden to be out of the way while she made hot buttered toast. Now keep your frocks clean, children. You must walk on your hind legs. Keep away from the dirty ash pit and from Sally Hennypenny and from the pigsty and the puddle ducks. Moppet and Mittens walked down the garden path unsteadily. Presently they trod upon their pinafores and fell on their noses. When they stood up, there were several green smears. "Let us climb up the rockery and sit on the garden wall," said Moppet. They turned their pinafores back to front and went up with a skip and a jump. Moppet's white tucker fell down into the road. Tom Kitten was quite unable to jump when walking upon his hind legs and trousers. He came up the rockery by degrees, breaking the ferns and shedding buttons right and left. He was all in pieces when he reached the top of the wall. Moppet and Mittens tried to pull him together, His hat fell off, and the rest of his buttons burst. While they were in difficulties, there was a pit-pat-paddle-pat, and the 3 puddle ducks came along the hard high road, marching one behind the other and doing the goose step. Pit-pat-paddle-pat, pit-pat-waddle-pat. They stopped and stood in a row and stared up at the kittens. They had very small eyes and looked surprised. Then the 2 duck birds, Rebecca and Jemima Puddle Duck, picked up the hat and tucker and put them on. Mittens laughed so that she fell off the wall. Moppet and Tom descended after her. The pinafores and all the rest of Tom's clothes came off on the way down. "Come, Mr. Drake Puddle Duck," said Moppet. "Come and help us to dress him. Come and button up Tom." Mr. Drake Puddle Duck advanced in a slow sideways manner and picked up the various articles. But he put them on himself. They fitted him even worse than Tom Kitten. "It's a very fine morning," said Mr. Drake Puddle Duck. And he and Jemima and Rebecca Puddle Duck set off up the road, keeping step. Pit-pat-paddle-pat, pit-pat-waddle-pat. Then Tabitha Twitchit came down the garden and found her kittens on the wall with no clothes on. She pulled them off the wall, smacked them, and took them back to the house. "My friends will arrive in a minute, and you are not fit to be seen. I am affronted," said Mrs. Tabitha Twitchit. She sent them upstairs, and I am sorry to say she told her friends that they were in bed with the measles, which was not true. Quite the contrary. They were not in bed, not in the least. Somehow there were very extraordinary noises overhead which disturbed the dignity and repose of the tea party. And I think that someday I shall have to make another larger book to tell you more about Tom Kitten. As for the puddle ducks, they went into a pond. The clothes all came off directly because there were no buttons. And Mr. Drake Puddle Duck and Jemima and Rebecca have been looking for them ever since. The end. 1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. 1 John 3:18.